We'll start off with this question, a discussion on session templates, or time session templates here. All right, time to get Blackbird turned on. There we go. All right, and I'm going to load up a BloodHound template, and let's see. I think this crossover test has a time session solver in it. Yes, there we go. All right, and so I just need to scroll through the logic templates and find out which logic template has that time session solver in it, and none of them do. All right, I'm just gonna pick one. Yeah, I'll use this one, and there. All right, just gonna quickly set this up. All right, that looks good. And let's see, one more thing here. Let's move that up. All right, yeah, I'm gonna move that up. Get rid of that. Okay. All right, that should work. And let's see here. I'm gonna lock the entry signals in. Not that it matters for this discussion, but all right. So basically, what I just did is I took a BloodHound template and put a time session solver into it here. All right, and I just need to make a simple order. And let's see, let me also turn on the scheduler here. I'll make a break. I'll make a break on, let's see, on Wednesday. Yeah. We'll make a 1 hour break on Wednesday. There we go. Okay, 1 hour break. And I'll make it a 2 hour break, just so there's a nice big wide break there. Okay. So, all right. So now to get started here. So we have a question about, how does BloodHound's session template, and BlackBird's scheduling, how do they operate together? How do they coexist together? How do they interact with each other? Right, so here we go. So we'll start off with question number one. So are the times in BloodHound template still effective? Absolutely. So Blackbird, does not affect your BloodHound signals. Right, your BloodHound signals are unaffected by Blackbird. Right, so BloodHound will produce its signals here, and to illustrate, let's get those BloodHound signals on the chart here. So in order to do that, we will have to reload the chart so that we can get NinjaTrader to reload the BloodHound indicator on the chart. And let's see here what happened. Oh, there we go. I accidentally turned that off. Show on chart. Okay, there. Let's reload again. And just as a reminder, never reload a chart if your strategy has an active order on, right? Otherwise, NinjaTrader will lose the connection between the order and your strategy. In other words, Blackbird will no longer be able to manage any positions that it had opened after refreshing a chart. NinjaTrader loses that connection. So, okay, and all right, let's put the template on here. There. And let's see, let's shrink up the chart a lot. Okay, so let's go back to Wednesday, and let's see, 10 range chart. Yeah, you know what? That's a little too large. How about if we go to, let's go to a 5-minute chart, something simpler. There. All right, so I'm going to go to Wednesday. All right, Wednesday. I think I just kind of realized my example isn't going to make a lot of sense. Hold on a moment. Before we get going, let me make some changes here. All right, I'm going to make some changes to the session template. So this is an odd one. This session template, right, for BloodHound, to kind of illustrate, it creates a 20-minute window of time every hour, right? So at 9 a.m. to 9:20, right, there's a 20-minute period, and then 10 to 10:20, there's a 20-minute period. All right, 11 to 11:20, there's a 20-minute period. 12 to 12:20. Right, so every hour of until 1, there's a 20-minute period there. So I think that'll work a little better. All right, so I'm making that change in BloodHound. There. All right, let's see, let's refresh that chart. So there we go. I'm trying to get some signals later on in the day. So there's a couple. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I can get back to my point here. So, all right, question number 1. Are the times in BloodHound template still effective? So, yes, they are. So as we can see, the signals still show up in BloodHound. And if we look at the scheduler, right, so I blocked out, I guess let's do this twice here. Let's make this change. There we go. So Wednesday and Thursday. And actually I'll do it Friday. Yeah, let's just say, we don't want to trade during this 2-hour lunch hour here. So right, so the scheduler affects when Blackbird will trade a signal. So if there is a signal in this, inside this 2-hour window that's been blocked out, that's been removed, if there's a BloodHound signal in that, Blackbird just ignores it. Right, Blackbird will just ignore it. So let's see. So 11 and 12. So let's see is there a signal between 11 and 12? Yeah. So right here, there's a signal at 11:05 and 11:20. So those bloodhound signals are still there, right? So Blackbird did not prevent those bloodhound, did not affect those bloodhound signals. They're still there. It's just that Blackbird will ignore these signals because the scheduler has removed this trading time. All right. So let's zoom back out here, right? So from 11, which actually we need to do some conversions here. So that's actually, oh yeah, we need to do some time zone conversions. So this is Eastern time. So that's going to be from 9 to 10 on my computer. Or actually, I'm sorry, from 9 to 11 on my computer. So let's identify that here. There we go. So 9 until 11. There. So let's see. This is Wednesday. So there's that 2-hour window in Blackbird, and we can see we do have one bloodhound signal in there, right? So Blackbird did not affect bloodhound in that, the bloodhound signal still shows up. It's just that Blackbird will ignore that signal. It won't trade it because we blocked out this time. All right. So let's see if we go back to Thursday here. So this is Thursday. And let's find that block of let's find that 2-hour window here. There we go. All right, close enough. So there we go. So we, again, just to illustrate, there is a bloodhound signal inside that 2-hour window. But Blackbird's just going to ignore that 2-hour window. It's just going to ignore that signal. Well, let me get this out of the way here. All right, let's see. So, so back to question 1: are the times in the bloodhound template still effective? And yes, they are. So we can still see, we still see the signal appearing in bloodhound, right inside this 2-hour window that's been removed in the scheduler here, right? So this 2-hour window right there on Thursday. So, but Blackbird's just not going to trade any signals that happen inside this 2-hour window. So there. All right. So question number 2, or do the time zones, or say do the blocks of time configured in Blackbird in the scheduling have the final word? And so the answer to that is yes. So let's just kind of, I guess I'll put an answer here. So, oh, sorry. The answer to number 1 is yes. And kind of a asterisk there, so it's a qualified yes. I guess it depends on the intent of how you ask question number 1. But in just reading the simple question, is the bloodhound template still effective? I'd say yes, because you can still see the bloodhound signal. All right, so bloodhound has not been affected. So, and so question number 2. Does Blackbird have the final word. Based on the scheduling, does Blackbird have the final word? And again, the answer is yes, with the exclamation mark. So, Blackbird is going to ignore any Bloodhound signals that happen inside of this 2-hour window, right? So with the scheduler, Blackbird's going to ignore all Bloodhound signals that happen within this 2-hour window. All right. All right, and now number 3, does one of the rules override the other, or are the signals permitted when the time zones overlap? So Bloodhound's scheduler overrides Bloodhound. So it's kind of like think of it as a double. Think of it as a double check. So Bloodhound is checking its time solver to ask to say, can I display a signal? Can Bloodhound display a signal at this time? By checking the time solver here. So let's kind of open this up here. Right. So check number 1 is done by Bloodhound. Bloodhound is Bloodhound. So basically, so this is kind of like, this is the signal logic, and then Bloodhound checks with the time solver and says, can I allow this signal to pass through, right? So this is Bloodhound's doing the first check to see if a signal can be shown on the chart, right? And then Blackbird does its own check. Then Blackbird checks the scheduler and says, am I allowed to execute a trade during this time, right? And so when we're in this 2-hour window here that's been removed, Blackbird will say, oh no, I'm not allowed to take that Bloodhound signal, and so therefore Blackbird just ignores the Bloodhound signal. Or and also keep in mind, I'm saying Bloodhound because Bloodhound's my example, but it's going to ignore any kind of indicator signal. So if you're using someone's custom indicator signal, such as Lucrum, we could plug in, of course, Lucrum has their little LTS Ruby indicator. Right, so if you're trading this, or Indicator Warehouse, has their DTS signal indicator. They have their DTS system, right? So you could plug that straight into Blackbird as well. There we go. So there's the LTS Ruby trade signals, right? So it doesn't have to be Bloodhound, right? I mean, the scheduler ignores any trade signals, right? So anything plugged into the trade signal area, right? So this whole area up on top, these are all trade signals, and right, the scheduler ignores, any and all trade signals from any source, during this blocked out 2-hour blocks of time there. So there you go. So Blackbird's doing its own secondary check whether it can take a trade or not, based on Blackbird's scheduler, right? So just think of it that Blackbird doesn't know what Bloodhound's doing internally, right? So Bloodhound is doing its own thing internally. And, you know, same thing with the LTS Ruby. You know, Blackbird has no idea what the LTS Ruby indicator is doing internally. Blackbird only knows when the Ruby system, you know, generates a trade signal. That's all that Blackbird knows. Same thing with BloodHound. You know, Blackbird only knows when BloodHound generates, you know, a trade signal. It doesn't know what BloodHound's doing internally. So, you know, Blackbird's not aware of BloodHound's time solver. You know, yeah, Blackbird's not aware of these individual solvers internally. You know, it's only aware of when BloodHound passes a trade signal to Blackbird there, and then Blackbird just decides, oh, well, am I allowed to trade that signal or not? So let's see. So the answer to number 3, yes. So I'd say the answer to number 3 is it would be yes. So you know, the BloodHound signal, you know, has to occur, of course, and then you know, and then the Blackbird's scheduler has to also allow, or Blackbird's scheduler also has to be in a time in a time period when Blackbird is allowed to take that trade signal. So in other words, yeah. So I guess you would consider that as an overlap. Right. So again, the answer to 3 would be yes. Yeah. To kind of summarize on Bob's comment, you know, BloodHound makes the first decision of saying, oh, here's a trade signal to Blackbird. You know, here's a trade signal, and then Blackbird has the final say so. You know, then Blackbird says, you know, kind of speak. Blackbird says, well, you know, hey, let me check my appointment book and see if I'm allowed to trade that signal. Yeah. So there, and Blackbird has the secondary check. So you could kind of think of it as a AND node, right? So it's like you're plugging BloodHound into a AND node, and then you're plugging Blackbird into an AND node. And if both of them, you know, are in agreement, then the trade is executed. Yeah. So Frank is asking, when you say trade signal, do you mean only entry signal? Yes, correct. Trade signal always refers to an entry signal. Yeah, if I mean an exit signal, I'll call it an exit signal instead of a trade signal. All right, well, gentlemen, yeah, both of you guys have a good weekend, and rest up for next week's workshops. Okay, guys, have a good one. Enjoy. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.